What is happening, guys? Welcome to the Dynasty WarZone, the People's Dynasty podcast. On today's show, we're going to answer that question we answer every June. Are they a Dynasty stash or are they Dynasty trash? With me, as always, never been trash, been my co-host for a long, long time. You know him better as the man of the hour and the man with the power, Jerry Sinclair. Buddy, what is going on?
I don't know about never been trash. I drafted Corey Davis at 102 for certain. That was a trash take. I am absolutely majestic, my friend. How was the dirty?
Well, we got as far as Atlanta Braves Stadium. For those that are tuning in maybe for the first time or the first time in a long time, I went down to, I guess the devil went down to Georgia. I went down to Georgia. Well, we stayed in Kennesaw. Baseball tournament with the team that I coach, and my son's on the team. And yes, Jerry, as close as we made it was the Braves game. Nice park. When you buy tickets through a Major League Baseball team, they're like, they have you take this survey. I'm like, it was a fine Major League Baseball experience. It was like going to a Reds game. It was like going to a White Sox game without the smoking of meth. And a little bit different than Wrigley or Boston because they're a little bit older historic parks, but it was fine. Had we realized that UFC Fight Night was in Atlanta that evening, we would have bought tickets for that instead. Because as my son said, he's like, how much baseball do you need in a given day? Which is fair, Jerry. That's a very fair assessment by the kid.
Yeah, I mean, going to a UFC fight live would be something. I'm not the biggest UFC guy in the world. I know you like it more than I do. I watch it because my work shows them every time. But to be a 17, 18-year-old kid with your buddies down there, that would have been a hell of a time.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, we had a real nice Verbo. I'm not going to give Airbnb, not a sponsor. So if you're not going to be a sponsor, then I'm not going to mislabel your store brand Kleenex as a Kleenex. It was a Verbo. My wife and I always use Verbo. I like Verbo way better than I like Airbnb. Stayed in an awesome Verbo. But you know what the most awesome part about Georgia was, Jerry?
What's that?
I'm going to be a bit of a whore, bit of a shill, bit of a company man. I literally drafted 19 fast draft, which in and of itself is like a time, from a time consumption standpoint, the average draft lasts 8 minutes. Once full and the clock goes, you are about 8 minutes of your time. And you could do a pre-draft, whatever. It literally became addictive. Like I was just like one of the guys in the room. We had a house. It was me, my assistant coach, and five players. Me and the 5 players like literally just sat around the entire time on our phone. Now they're like Snapchatting each other back and forth, but I am drafting my ass off. Do you want to know who I think is going to be the biggest value in redraft this year based on what I saw with fast draft?
Well, you might as well just tell secrets outside of school.
I will tell you that it's going to be Tyreek Hill. I got him routinely late third, early fourth, over and over and over, and just you don't want Tyreek Hill? Awesome. I will take Tyreek Hill. I'm looking right now. Again, I did 18 drafts, and I've got 50% ownership of Tyreek Hill. I'm telling you, it's like he didn't get bad at football.
No.
And where Devontae Adams is going in relation to him is a crime.
Silly.
It's an absolute crime. So I think that's the biggest value I've seen thus far on fast draft. Wound up with a lot of RJ Harvey. Like in that fifth and sixth round, because fast draft is 10 teams per league, I guess. You draft 60 total picks. I got so much RJ Harvey and Travion Henderson. Now, this is like veterans included. This is not Origins. There's still an Origins tournament going on right now. But if Travion Henderson, like RJ Harvey especially, Matt, the Podfather, and Billy, the brains behind Fast Draft, they will literally have to back a Brinks truck up to my house. I don't know what it would cost to courier my winnings to Indianapolis, but I will take them if RJ Harvey smashes this year, Jer.
I wish you the best of luck, my friend. I'm all aboard Travion Henderson. I am skeptical about Mr. Harvey.
Well, if you're with me and you want to draft rookies, even though it's June, you can still go to Fast Draft.
It is a damn shame we only get to do a handful of rookie drafts every season. After doing all this rookie analysis, you want more bites at the apple. And that's why we have the Fast Draft Origins tournament. You draft 6 rookies, the top 4 into your lineup. It's best ball style, and it's just $5 to win a $5,000 first prize. So if you're passionate about Taj Brooks or RJ Harvey, get on Fast Draft and use your favorite creator's code to get a $50 deposit match. A $50 deposit match to go make thousands of dollars drafting the rookies that you know and love.
The Apple gimmick remains strong. I will say, if you are personally burnt out on rookies, and I can totally understand if you are. By the way, another value in Origins, because not all 17 of mine were veterans. Shedeur Sanders remains a value in the rookie format. You can shake your head, Jerry. The hype out of camp continues to be real.
They can hype that boy up all they want because they want to sell Shedeur Sanders jerseys.
Well, why wouldn't you want to? I mean, I wish we had, got stakes in place. Whatever the stakes of this was going to be was going to be our bet. Like I said, Jerry, what's the over and under of the number of starts Shedeur Sanders has this year? You said
0.
So if he literally gets 1 start, I win. And I was not the biggest Shedeur guy coming out, but he looks like the best quarterback in that room. What am I missing? You're for those of you that Jerry doesn't realize it's an audio podcast, he gives me like the wave off.
I do, but I'm looking at myself, so I always just I react to the video. I just don't think he's the best. I don't know that he's better than Kenny Pickett.
That's hurtful. At least we've seen Kenny Pickett be bad in this league.
Yeah, we've also seen Kenny Pickett lead a team to good things in college football, something that we haven't seen Shedeur Sanders do. We saw Kenny Pickett get drafted in the first round, which we didn't even see Shedeur Sanders get drafted on day 2. We didn't see him get drafted in the first round of day 3. And he's also the quarterback of the Browns. So he's going to be a rookie with a whole bunch of competition for the Browns. I don't love him. No, thank you. Used to playing in, where's Jackson State? Probably Mississippi or Alabama or somewhere in the South where it's warm. Then he went to Colorado. I guess it's a little cold, but it's not Cleveland, man. And he's just going to go up there. Kenny Pickett went to Pitt, right down the road from Cleveland. Used to it. Got little baby hands for sure. I don't know. I also like Dylan Gabriel a little bit better too.
Well, what day was Mr. Sanders drafted? Okay. Do you
say Tom Brady, and I'm gonna hit the little red X in the corner of my screen.
I will not. I will forego you the Tom Brady. How about Dakota Rain Prescott?
The 4th round pick.
How about Captain Kirk Cousins?
4th round pick.
Mark, for the younger audience, you're going to need to throw this guy in the Google machine. Mark Bulger.
I don't know when Mark Bulger went.
Mark Bulger went in the 6th round, pick 168. To say that,
so he's got a chance to be Mark Bulger.
Mark Bulger was a Pro Bowler.
I'm just saying, Prescott.
I think he went to the playoffs many times.
I think you're right. Yeah. I'm just saying, like Dak Prescott was also really good in the SEC.
And we got Jamie. Go ahead.
And Kirk Cousins. I mean, I know where that boy went. I'm telling you, I had season tickets. I watched him be good.
Of course.
I mean, he did good things. We've seen Shedeur Sanders win like 8 games in college football. I mean, it was like 5 games and like 8 games or something in the Big 12, which Rocco Beck right down the road from me can win more games than that.
I think it was the famous 30-30 season that Jameis Winston had. I don't think they won a lot of games. And guess what? I don't care if the Browns ever win a game. What are we looking for, Jer? We're looking for fantasy points.
I agree.
Bad teams. And I lived the Joe Flacco experience just last year. You know, whatever magic pixie dust that he had spread upon him during that comeback player of the year award in Cleveland is gone. Kenny Pickett is a bum. And Dylan Gabriel's 5'8" and not Kyler Murray athletic.
That's fair. I'm just saying, we saw Shedeur Sanders take an ungodly amount of sacks in college football. He holds on to the ball too long. Now he's got to run away from TJ Watt twice a year.
Are you concerned about Caleb Williams holding on to the ball too long?
A little bit, but he also doesn't have TJ Watt in his division. He's got Aiden Hutchinson, who's a poor man's version of that. But other than that, and he didn't get sacked like Shedeur did against Big 12 defenses. Just throw that out there. A conference well known for having elite defenses. Crickets.
Well, we're doing this. We're doing this segment in lieu of good people, bad tweets. With me being out of town, the internet streets were a little bit wide open this weekend. I was not out there patrolling, looking for knuckleheads making knucklehead comments. Although, you know, we'll do this, you know, later in the offseason. We'll do where we were right and where we were wrong. Classic show.
We're circling back to this moment.
Yes, but where we have already been right this offseason, we could say that the Dynasty WarZone's been right about Roma Dunze is going to get comps to the JSN breakout last year. Already starting to see it. We shined that one up in the crystal ball, and we saw that back in January. And you know, another one that I predicted because I am an Indianapolis resident, Daniel Jones is going to be the starting quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. I would not be surprised if Anthony Richardson does not play a game, that he's going to quote unquote rehab this shoulder, because keeping him off of the field keeps his play from being seen. And it's a good thing for him. And well, it's not a good thing for him. It's a good thing for the Colts. Yeah. Then in the offseason, they could give some team with a little bit of hubris and ego saying, hey, we'll give you that fourth that Jerry Jones gave for Trey Lance for Anthony Richardson. And I don't want to go as far as call Daniel Jones this year Sam Darnold or Baker Mayfield, but you could 100% see where I'm going.
Yeah. I mean, and we've seen what was the year that Daniel Jones finally started running? I think he finished as Dayball. Yeah, I think he finished as like a top 10 QB or top 12 maybe. Like he did pretty well, and we're never going to see anything like that from Anthony Richardson. I'm sorry for everybody that spent the 102 on him. I spent the 102 on Corey Davis. Been there, done that. Know how it feels. You just got to make fun of yourself for a long time. But nope, you have definitely been in on the Daniel Jones is going to be the starter of the Colts for quite some time, and brother, that water is boiling.
Well, and what I like about it is I've said this also on the show when we mentioned this earlier. Shane Steichen has led every quarterback but Anthony Richardson to a career best season. Statistically, not wins, losses, Super Bowls. Jalen Hurts had his best statistical season passing the ball and overall fantasy production under Shane Steichen. So did Justin Herbert. So did Gardner Minshew. There's a world where Shane Steichen can do for Danny Dimes what Kevin O'Connell did for Sam Darnold just last year. And it's not a huge stretch, and he's going to be tremendously undervalued in superflex redraft leagues. Like if you were doing like one of those underdog best ball things where it's like the puppy or the super poodle or whatever the blue hell. I mean, it's not fast draft, so I really don't care. But whatever staunch company, man. But whatever one is superflex, I'm telling you, Daniel Jones is going to be a value.
I mean, there's an argument that he's a value in Dynasty. I mean, I feel like we've probably given Danny Dimes too much conversation for a Dynasty podcast, but he is worth something. because he is likely to be the starter. And there are some pieces. We got Josh Downs there. I mean, we've got JT there. We got Michael Pittman there. Like it's not a total barren wasteland. And if he can run a little bit, okay. Because how much does Danny Dimes cost you right now if you want to go acquire him? If some change, you could look through your couch and find a draft pick to get Danny Dimes right now.
Let me ask you a question. What do you think he's averaged per game in fantasy points? Just regular old ESPN, Yahoo, whatever fantasy scoring.
I don't know, like 12 probably.
Try 15 for his career.
Okay.
He's been as high as 18.1 a game, which is easily a QB1. That was 2022 with the Giants. As a rookie, he averaged 16.5. Remember, he was kind of the Bo Nix of the day.
Yeah.
When he had a good rookie season.
Well, it's because he's always been popular to hate on too. Like he's never been sizzle.
Well, that is your training camp update. I'm acquiring Danny Dimes, but Jerry, to acquire him, you may have to make some roster decisions, and that's where Dynasty stash or trash come in. Now, I'm actually going to give you, I have 10 names for Jerry. 10 names not on the thumbnail. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see the thumbnail. We will do those at the end, or we'll do them wherever. I just can't not put the two guys on the thumbnail not in the show because Brittany, our graphics designer, does such a great job with all of the YouTube graphics, the thumbnail. She makes me and even Jerry look halfway decent. So it'd be just rude, Jerry, downright rude, not to talk about the players that Brittany puts on our thumbnail. But I got 10 names, and
Shoot.
you can label the rookies or sophomores as a taxi stash. The third-year guys you can name as a dynasty stash, and you can name anybody a dynasty stash. I will give you the cheap way out to call the rookies or sophomores a
taxi stash.
I
appreciate that. I will take the training wheels, my friend.
Hey, buddy, we're here to help a brother out. So I'll tell you what, we're going to make a manwich out of the guys on the thumbnail. We're going to start with my guy. I can already tell you, for a good old Uncle Memphis, he is 100% a stash. He's on your regular roster. It is Theo Johnson. I am in there. I would be more bullish on Theo Johnson if the QB is anyone but Russell Wilson. Whether that's Jack, and it's not. Okay, fine. It's a halfway shot at Russell Wilson. You know, as Mark Schlereth says, the Rusties are going to come for us, but it's not so much. It's that Russell Wilson has never been a user of the tight end. Not that he won't throw the tight end, but we saw it last year with Pat Freiermuth. He likes scrambling around and taking those deep shots down the sidelines. It's always been more of his bag. And that's part of the reason why his games fell off, because he's just not as fast or as mobile as he used to be. Arm's still pretty good. So I am in on Theo Johnson. Jerry, quick layup. Where are you at on Theo?
I think he's a dynasty stash. Part of me wants to keep him as a taxi stash just because I've seen almost nothing from the man. But I think we are to the point where either he's going to give you something this year, or he's going to be put out to pasture, Andy, and we're going to forget Theo Johnson's name.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what he can do with this offense, and I'm hoping the offense is decent. You know they're going to be behind. I mean, and by the way, we had a little Shedeur Daniel Jones talk. Jackson Dart getting a lot of love in the coach speak, the comments from Brian Dable. Doesn't mean he's going to start.
No.
But we want to see progression, because we know that by week 8 the Giants are going to be 2-6. When are we going to say fuck it? Just roll the kid out there. Let's see what we got.
I mean,
because you have to see what you have with Jackson Dart. You traded up for him. What was it, like the 21st pick, if I remember correctly, and you got to see what he is, because next year's quarterbacks class is actually pretty solid. So if you don't have like any real game reps for Dart, and that circles me back to Theo Johnson. All right, I'm going to make it a little bit more tough for you. All right.
Shoot.
This guy's team has acquired such off-season acquisitions as Deebo Samuel. Where are you at on Luke McCaffrey? Brother of Christian, son of Ed.
Trash. Don't need him. Throw him away. He's good. He's just wasting your roster space. Let's be real. I mean, we got Deebo. I mean, if we hope Ben Sinnott is good at some point. Jaden Daniels. Holy cow. Had a stroke there for a second. Jaden Daniels is going to run a ton. Brian Robinson's good. Austin Eckler's somebody who exists. Zach Ertz is still there. At what point is this guy going to do anything for you? He's not. Throw him away.
I'm gonna
throw him away, Randall.
I'm gonna hold off for one more year. I'm gonna call him a taxi stash. He's a sophomore. If you're on one of those teams where you have 5 dynasty taxi spots, I'm in one that we have 10.
Okay. Well, if you have 10 taxi spots, there's no reason to cut anybody. You could have Randall Young at the back end of that.
I would not.
I mean, I've seen your quads. You got a shot to be the 10th man on that taxi squad, brother.
But I've seen the quads on, like,
I mean,
Tristan Wirfs, and he's not going to beat anybody in a foot race. I'm hanging on to him. I do. Did you? I mean, we can kind of intertwine in some camp stuff. Did you see the junk in Deebo's trunk?
Yeah, that boy's thick. I mean, he's a thick man. He's enjoying his wealth. Good for him.
Hey,
not quite Kelvin Benjamin. What did you used to say? A biscuit short of 300.
Yeah,
Kelvin Benjamin. I mean, he's creeping there.
I would say Deebo. What would you say? 225.
Yeah, I mean,
for a guy that should be probably around 205.
Yeah, he's he's thick.
He's
beefy.
He's a husky fella. I will tell you,
he's eating the steaks. Let him eat the steaks, man.
I too am with you. I'm rooting for Ben Sinnott to be the over the middle, in the 10 to 15 yard range weapon. But I'm not going to be completely shocked if it ends up being Luke McCaffrey, at least for a season. That I just see a path to success given his style of play. But I know Jerry is chucking that man into the trash. What about Jatavian Sanders, tight end from the Panthers? We've already talked about Theo Johnson. He's the people's dynasty stash tight end. Where are you at on Jatavian Sanders?
I am so incredibly unlogical when it comes to Jatavian Sanders, because I should say to throw him away, Randy. But I'm a slut for the guy. Sorry. Hopefully that doesn't get us blocked on YouTube. He's a regular dynasty stash for me. And he's somebody that I am acquiring pretty prevalently. I don't know if that's a word or the correct way to say it, but welcome to Randy and Gerald's English, boys and girls. I like the man. I'm taking shots. I know it's not the most conducive situation. I know he didn't really do much for us, but he's like 22, 23 maybe. He does not have competition for that in that role. I mean, there's not really tons of competition for pass catchers. I mean, they just drafted Tet, and then you got Xavier Leggett. But other than that,
like I do not mind Leggett, but I'm with you. Are you not concerned about like a vet like Adam Thielen, like nerfing his value?
He could
this year.
He could for sure, but I don't need to see Jatavian Sanders like, oh, I'm ready to plug him into my starting lineup. I just need to see the dude be able to show that he can play the game. Let me see that if I can acquire you now and you can show me that you can hang and that I can see some growth in your game, then absolutely. And because right now his acquisition cost is pretty cheap, Randy. Let's be honest.
No, I agree. I also believe I'm not as he doesn't make me want to be. He doesn't make me want to be a slut. I mean, I would be a slut. I mean,
listen, don't kink shame a brother now.
You live. This is 2025. You live your best life, brother. But he is listed as the backup behind Tommy Tremble. Tommy Tremble been in the league since 2021. Never really been a pass catcher. I just kind of like I feel about New York. You have your young quarterback. You just drafted 2 wide receivers in Tet McMillan and Xavier Legette. Now, it's like those are the guys that if I'm the GM and I'm the head coach of the Panthers, I want to keep on the field. I want to see whether it's Theo Johnson and Malik Neighbors and those guys work together. I want to see, hey, what do these 2 wide receivers and this tight end look like with Chuba Hubbard? Is that our offense? Is that the next 2 to 3 years of this offense? And take it from there. I agree with you. I'll even call him
he got drafted early too, didn't he? Wasn't he a 2nd-round pick?
Who? Sanders?
Yeah.
401. He was the first pick of the 4th round. Yes, sir.
Oh, he was the Hakeem Butler pick. Oh man. I gotta backtrack now.
That is bad juju. But no, I'm with you. I'm fine with him. Like if you have like a very shallow taxi squad, I'm fine with Sanders being on the back end of your regular 20 or 25 man roster, because again, if a tight end hits, you have got, and especially if you've already got someone, like maybe you have an aging guy like Kittle or Kelsey, or just someone who's, around that, an Ingram, someone who's around that 30 range. He's the kind of lottery ticket, maybe even a little bit more than a lottery ticket. He is the kind of 50-50 proposition that if he pops on the back end of your roster, if you're competing, he's going to be the bridge to the future. And if he doesn't, and I'm sorry, if he does and you're not competing, that would allow you to move that Kelsey or Kittle at the trade deadline for future assets. He's a great piece to have.
I think he's a person that you have a little bit of window too. Also, like even if he doesn't do a ton this year, even if he gets you 300 yards or whatever, right? If you're going to rely on somebody to get you 300 yards, you're going to be pissed off. But if he's at the end of your roster and then next year, this time when he's 23 years old and you've seen a little bit of growth, I think you're still fine. I think his value's stabilized, and it still gives you another opportunity to see some growth. He's a year older, a year more experienced, more reps in the game, familiar with Bryce Young. So I think he's a stable person for you to try to acquire, which is another reason why I'm cool with the man.
All right. We're going to move on because we're going to try to get through 10 of these, plus the bonus other guy on the thumbnail, I'm good. I didn't put this guy on the original show sheet, but I'm going to give you the option.
Okay.
You can go with either, neither, or both. You can answer however you want. One I'm going to throw out is Trey Tucker. The other, who was on the show sheet, is Deonta. It's either Deonta or Deontay Thornton Jr. One, Tucker being listed as the starting wide receiver on one side, Thornton his backup. Tucker drafted in 2023, Thornton drafted in 2025. I will always go back to, for me, they're both a stash. I don't necessarily want both. You can take whichever one you want. But for me, you're either better than, the same as, or different than everybody you work with. And both of these guys are different than how the Raiders will probably deploy Jack Beck and Jacoby Myers. So it might be like more of a, like if you're in a wide receiver 3, like a league where you have to start 3 wide receivers, sign me up for either one of these guys, Jerry. I'm totally in. I like Thornton just a little bit better. I think he's just a hair better of an athlete. But I don't mind if you want Trey Tucker. I want one of the two, especially with Geno there.
I'm fine. I'm fine with taking a shot. I think my gut tells me that they're trash and I probably shouldn't rely on them, but I'm also fine with taking a stab on one of them. I think my guy would probably be Trey Tucker, just because we've seen it. We saw like 500 yards or whatever the hell he had last year. Like he at least showed some flashes, but overall, I think there's better options that I'm going to stash.
I'm going to go back to the guy I originally put on the show sheet, and that's Dante Thornton Jr. 6'5", 205 pounds, runs a 4.30 40.
I can do that. I just don't want to.
If I can get him to become a poor man's version of DK Metcalf with Geno Smith, I've won. If he's the kind of guy where we're in a format where you have to start 3 wide receivers, which a lot of our patron leagues are, this is the kind of guy you want to have as and given the fact that he's a rookie, you either want him to be, you can put him either or, but he's a guy that I have to have going into camp.
I think comping him to sort of the DK Metcalf role with Geno is fine. Because if that does happen in any sense, then yes, he's got a better chance. And I don't think Trey Tucker really has a chance of being viable. I think the chance that Thornton hits is less likely than Trey Tucker's, but I think if he does hit, then his ceiling is higher. So I'm fine with that. I think I switched. I think I am fine with Thornton being a taxi stash. I think you got to me.
And here's why I like him. If you were a defensive coordinator and you were driving to the stadium for a game against the Raiders, are you worried about Brock Bowers or Dante Thornton? Are you worried about Thornton or are you worried about Jacoby Myers?
Jacoby Myers.
Ashton Genty or Thornton?
Ashton Genty.
You see where I'm going.
Yes.
He's going to at a guy
not
who's
getting circled. He's not getting circled on the defensive schemes.
A guy who's that big, who's that fast. I would say his range of outcomes, and we'll end Thornton on this. His range of outcomes could be somewhere between Alec Pierce and DK Metcalf, and it will probably likely be somewhere in the middle.
I think that was good. No, I think that's where you end. I think that's brilliant.
I'm a fucking
F it. Alex Pierce is down there somewhere.
Dude, especially with Geno. Like one thing about Geno ain't afraid to turn it loose.
Nah.
Here's a guy I'm hoping comes back healthy and gets turned loose. It's Keaton Mitchell, a guy who has maybe flown this offseason because I think partially because this rookie running back class has been so spectacular. And I think because Derrick Henry continues, even at the ripe old age of like 31, 32, continues to play spectacular. This guy goes under the radar. He's a huge stash for me. And it doesn't matter if Henry's healthy or not. This is a guy who in 2023, prior to getting injured, he had 47 rush attempts for 396 yards. That's 8.4 yards per carry. 9 receptions for 93 yards. Jerry, pop quiz. Does Derrick Henry catch a lot of passes?
No, he does not.
Huh. What do you know? But Keaton Mitchell does. So can we agree that he's different than Derrick Henry?
Yes, we can.
Can we see where there's a role for this guy?
I would agree with that.
Now you're going to have to make him a dynasty stash because he's no longer, at least in most leagues, he's no longer taxi eligible. So for me, this is another guy that I love. See, Jerry, I'm not trying to see the stash or trash show title is really just to get to YouTube clicks. I'll be honest with you. This is really a show about us throwing value names out there. Yeah, you can throw Luke McCaffrey away. That's fine. Jerry wouldn't pick him up if he was on fire.
No, he wouldn't.
But what are your thoughts on Keaton Mitchell?
I think it's fine. I am worried that he doesn't have standalone value just because Derrick Henry is Derrick Henry, and he lets his hammer just club people over and over. YouTube's definitely not going to like this show with all the things I've been saying, but I'm fine with Keaton Mitchell. 8.4 yards a carry is silly. And if we're gonna play this game, if you're a defensive coordinator, are you going to circle Derrick Henry or Keaton Mitchell, or Lamar Jackson or Keaton Mitchell, or Rashad Bateman and Keaton Mitchell? Maybe Rashad Bateman, or Zay Jones, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely. Like Keaton Mitchell's down there. And in the event that something does happen to Derrick Henry, which a few episodes ago I said Derrick Henry never gets hurt. He did miss like 8 games a few years ago. In the event that something like that happens, you've seen production where he can get 8.4 yards a carry over the course of, whatever. Not a ton of attempts, but was still productive. Worth a stash, Randy. I'm fine with throwing him in your stash. Back of the line.
All right. I see the super chat on the screen from Cameron Myers. Cameron, we're going to get to you in just 1 second. Andre Iosivas. Am I close?
Yeah,
am I close?
I don't want him because I can't pronounce his name, Randy.
That is as reasonable a reason not to want him. I kind of do. I also don't care. Like if you're like in an FFPC style league where the rosters are very shallow and you can't carry. I'm totally fine with him not being on your roster. I'm just going off of what is my default playing style, which is superflex, tight end premium. We start 10, 25 roster spots. This is the kind of guy in that format, which again is my bread and butter, is where I go. Because to your point, if something happens to Jamar Chase or T. Higgins, I think it really goes up. Last year, both T. Higgins and Jamar Chase were largely healthy the majority of the year, right?
Yeah.
And he played, we're going to call him Andre. We're on a first name basis. So Andre played 17 games. His targets went from 25 as a rookie to 61. There's a world where Jermaine Burton does not take a step forward. Mike Gesicki remembers he's Mike Gesicki. And all of a sudden, the third option, and remember, I live in Indianapolis. I saw Peyton Manning turn guys like Brandon Stokely into fantasy league winners because he was the wide receiver 3. And by the way, they also used a tight end in Dallas Clark. But I see a world where this guy could go from 60. He went from 25 to 61. Is it going to shock me if he goes to 90 and ends up being like a borderline wide receiver 3-4? I'm in. And then if you add in an injury, I'm double in.
Yeah, I think he's fine to stash. Like, jokes aside about not being able to pronounce his last name, he's 100% worth.
Oh, I'm not joking. I cannot pronounce his last name.
There's
no humor intended.
Yeah, I don't know it either. I might just have to watch some Bengals football just to learn to pronounce it. But he was relatively productive for what he could do. T. Higgins and Jamar Chase are going to be there. He's capped, obviously, but that also makes him very cheap. And in the event that something does happen to either one of those, he still has Joe Burrow. And Joe Burrow's pretty good. And a few episodes ago, I talked about how I was not super in on Chase Brown. So if I'm not super in on Chase Brown, that means that offense is going to funnel through Joe Burrow. And in the event that one of these wide receivers goes down, this guy gets a nice roll. And you can flip him. Even if you don't believe in the brother, you can sell him for a second. Just because he's going to get that opportunity. Thank you. I will take that, American.
Well, let's do this. Let's hear about the Dynasty Deluxe, and we'll come back and answer Cameron's super chat. How about that? That sounds like a deal.
Yeah.
If you play in Dynasty, you need Dynasty Deluxe, our premium package for Dynasty Leaguers. We rank over 300 players, updated every week, all year long. And there's a win now mode and a rebuild mode with Superflex and tight end premium controls. And a Dynasty League sync where you can say, sync down all of my sleeper teams, all my FFPC teams, and then you can browse around your leagues for who has needs, and then you can use our trade finder to see what kinds of trades are happening in leagues that are similar to the one I want to do. Then you can analyze trades using our trade analyzer, which balances the lifetime value, which includes pick values out to like 2028. All of that plus the rookie guide, $25 value is included. So if you're just in one Dynasty League, Dynasty Deluxe is well worth it. And use your host's promo code, and you can bump up to all in and get $25 off.
And the promo code is WarZone. Same with Fast Draft, all caps, one word, WarZone. On Fast Draft, that'll get you the dollar for dollar deposit match. With the Dynasty Deluxe, that gets you up to all in, promo code WarZone. I want to go to the super chat because Cameron's always a loyal supporter there. And Cam asks, who leaves the best taste in your mouth? Jerry, this is clearly for you. And the worst. So the best and worst taste in your mouth from Braylon Allen, Kendre Miller, Roshan Johnson, and Jalen Wright. Also, Cameron wanted to throw in little elbow in my ribs. And also Jerry is right down with best ball. Cheers.
Preach, brother.
So apparently Cam not a best ball, or at least the way that I interpret that. So Jerry, who is? Well, I'm not going to put anything else in your mouth. Pause. Who is your favorite of Braylon Allen, Kendre Miller, Roshan Johnson, and Jalen Wright, and who is your worst?
I think my favorite is going to be Roshan Johnson, and it's only because what is the alternative? believing in DeAndre Swift. And what has that ever gotten you? Nothing
Pain.
but mediocre crap. Like he's been usable. Don't get me wrong, like RB like 17 or something over and over and over again. But Roschon Johnson, you wanna see who the David Montgomery is in the Ben Johnson offense? It's got to be Roschon, because they're not just gonna go DeAndre Swift over and over and over and over again. Now maybe it's Kyle Monangai. I like the guy. I think Roschon was a better prospect. I think, I'm taking shots on Monangai in case it's him, but I think Roschon is probably my favorite of that bunch, because that's a whole bunch of, we went in the second round of rookie drafts and dynasty players are just hoping they amount to anything. That's all four of those guys. I think the worst taste in my mouth is Kendre Miller. And it's unfortunate because if something happens to Alvin Kamara, he would absolutely 100% get a role. But he's had every opportunity to make at least something out of himself, and he's never been able to. So I think that would be the guy. I think in the event that anything happened to Breece Hall, I think Braylon Allen would be absolutely, not to use a fantasy cliche, but a league winner type. Dude's pretty good. Jalen Wright, he's going to have a role. He's going to be mediocre as hell. Him and Caleb Johnson, 100%. Meh. I think Roschon has the highest chance of having a good ceiling without an injury. I think Braylon Allen needs the injury. And then Kendre Miller just has had opportunities and has not done things with it. So he's going to be the worst taste in my mouth.
So Kendre Miller, one of the other guys that Brittany put on the thumbnail. So we no longer have discussed. I also agree. If everybody hates you wherever you go, you're probably the problem. I was brought up, I'm got my ways, but I was brought up that if you ran into an asshole this morning, you ran into an asshole. You run into assholes all day long.
Guess maybe who the asshole is?
Maybe you're the asshole. That's kind of how I feel about Kendre Miller. No one likes him. They drafted Devin Neal, who I do like. You mentioned Kamara. He's clearly the man. So for me, the lowest on that is Kendre Miller. Now, the highest on that list for me is Braylon Allen. And the difference, and there's a little bit of a shift between Braylon Allen and Roschon. Now, if you want Roschon because you want points this year, I can't blame you. If you're like a middle of the road contender and you're looking for some points that could really impact 25, it's Roschon all day. But I like the upside of Braylon Allen because I still believe there's a world where Breece Hall's not on this roster come week one. If a contender loses a running back in the preseason, the way we saw, we see every once in a while, then Braylon Allen is the man there.
Yeah.
And the other reason why I put Braylon Allen just a step ahead is that even if Breece doesn't get traded, he's likely not to re-sign next year, which means year 3 running back, especially if he gets any love from this new coaching staff, Braylon Allen could be a monster in this offense. I don't mind Jalen Wright, but I will spare the audience and not call Devon Achane a superstar, but Jalen Wright is behind a very talented back, a very, very talented back. So he needs injury. I think because Devon Achane's not going anywhere and Breece Hall is, Roschon's going to have the immediate role. So for me, 1A, 1B are Roschon and Allen. I like Allen a hair longer term, then Jalen Wright, and then Kendre clear at the bottom. Cam, my friend, I hope that helps. And we appreciate the support with the super chat. You are the man. We're going to get to go rapid fire because after this show, Jerry, do you know there's a show after this?
Yeah, right after us, man.
You like 9:35. We're going to go right up to 9:35, and you don't even have to tune out. Let's surprise those bastards by letting them show up to all these hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. Just like where the hell did all these hundreds of people come from for the start of this show? Usually it starts off like at 1 and works its way up throughout the course of the show. But hey, we can set our brothers here up at the Player Profiler YouTube channel up for success. Jerry, I'm going to throw you out. I'm going to throw you one close to my heart. Xavier Restrepo.
Randy, when you first got on the Xavier Restrepo train, I was a hateful bastard. No way around it. I don't know that I disagree with that take yet, but I will let you know that I have acquired a few shares because part of me thinks maybe I should listen to Randall. You know, we've done this show for nearly a decade and he's done well for himself. I'm in a lot of leagues with you. I know you're a successful player. And so I am just trusting you. I don't agree with you, but I am trusting you. And I have definitely acquired a few Xavier Restrepos. And I think the relationship he is relatively free. The relationship with Cam Ward is big. I'm taking shots.
If I could hit you with you remember the movie Men in Black where they hit you with a little wand? If I could hit you with that little wand and all you saw was, and I'm going to put up the Culture Watch's comment on the YouTube. They say, I like Restrepo too. The tape is sick. If you just watch the guy play, the guy can play football. I'm going to call him more of a taxi stash, given that he's got to make the roster first. But he's a guy I really like. And like I said, kudos to Cam Ward. Anyone who puts their boys on, that's a homie. That's a homie. Speaking of someone else who does that and has throughout his career is Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers, while not a taxi stash, what about Roman Wilson? Roman Wilson, injury maligned rookie season. They've got DK Metcalf there. They have Calvin Austin. He's a little bit more of a speed merchant too. You can't tell me if you close your eyes and think real quick that you couldn't see Roman Wilson being the Randall Cobb in this offense, Jerry.
I think it's entirely plausible. I can see where you came up with that conclusion. But it's been a long time since I've gotten to do this. I've had to talk about the J.J. McCarthys of the world and how much I like them. I've had to talk about the Colston Lovelands of the world and how much I like them. The Blake Corums of the world, how much I like them. Randy, take that Michigan Wolverine piece of trash. Throw him over your shoulder. Shine him up real nice. Get him out of here. Get Roman Wilson out of here, buddy. Never showed me anything worth a damn. No, thank you. Out of here. See ya.
Oh, no, sir. I could not be more in on Roman Wilson. Couldn't be more in because I'm looking for that. Like, I want to be honest. I have a type, and this is the type because you can get them cheap. It's, the Podfather once invented the Alfred Morris corollary, which is when you are a running back and you have a mobile quarterback like he did with RG3, all of a sudden you blow up. I'm going to go with the Aaron Rodgers, or excuse me, the Wes Welker corollary. When you're like the little slot receiver guy who just gets all those garbage PPR checkdowns, I'm so in. I'm always looking for the next Wes Welker, the next Julian Edelman, Adam Thielen for a season. And if I can get anything similar to that out of Roman Wilson, it's an absolute smash.
Which is fine. But here's my thing. The dude has never really done anything. Ever. Like, I know that he had an injury-riddled season.
He was a rookie.
100%. I mean, in college football, too. Yeah, he won a national championship. You know what his numbers were? 789 yards. You had J.J. McCarthy, who went number 10 overall. You had 789 yards receiving. That was your best season by almost double. His second best season was 420 yards, Randy. 25 catches. And I think this man is going to come into the NFL and he's going to help my dynasty team, the dynasty team that I want to just rain glory, brimstone, and fire on all of my friends and enemies. And I got to rely on that? Trash. Throw them away.
I
Otherwise,
will
he's
not.
gonna sit. He's gonna sit on your team and just waste your spot.
All right, I'm doing a little research to bury you on the Roman Wilson take. What about
Go
a guy?
ahead.
What about a guy very similar? I think I'd like him a little bit more if he had more of a pocket quarterback. But what about Malachi Corley with the Jets? Now he's behind Alan Lazard. I think there's a stronger than possible chance that Alan Lazard could be on the Steelers before the start of camp. Where are you at on Malachi Corley?
Worth a shot. Don't love him. We've seen production out of him in college. The offense, that situation last year was disastrous, to say the least. So I'm fine taking a shot. I think he's a taxi stash. I don't know if he has upgraded himself into be a regular stash. I also don't know if I'm ready to throw him away. But also, if it's like week 3, and like I need whoever is the free agent that's coming out, he might be one of those first guys that I throw on the heat.
Yeah, I would be more in, but I think you can only be in on the tight end and Garrett Wilson in New York. That was kind of the blueprint that made Fields successful in Chicago when he made Kmet and DJ Moore good. And I just don't think there's going to be much room for anything else, which is another reason why I like Braylon Allen. I think that's going to be a lot of run, play defense, tough nose. I mean, you're
Aaron
a Lions
Glenn,
fan.
man.
I was going to say, you're a Lions fan. You saw Aaron Glenn. And can I sidebar for a minute? Because we got like 13 minutes. Can I sidebar for did you see Aaron Glenn at the press conference?
I did not.
When they asked him, the media said, "Is everybody here?" And Aaron Glenn looked at him and said, "You tell me." And the guy was like, "Yeah, it looked like everybody was here." And that was the end of it. That was the coldest response. That was the coldest response I've heard from a head coach since Dan Campbell. He's not as animated as Dan Campbell. He's not as fun as Dan Campbell. But I think that dude is a leader of men. By the way, I filibustered long enough to get the stats on Roman Wilson. So Roman Wilson caught, of the championship season, he caught 48 of J.J. McCarthy's 240 completions. 48. So we're talking 20% of his completions went to this guy. Yeah. Touchdowns. J.J. McCarthy threw 22 touchdowns. 12 of those went to Roman Wilson. The guy has the trust of the quarterback. He's not a rookie, which means Aaron Rodgers will not inherently hate him. I'm telling you, you are off the mark on Roman Wilson. Marvin Mims, Cortland Sutton, not necessarily holding out, but kind of wants his money. And I don't blame him. He's not like a $40 million or $35 million a year receiver, but I think he's worth more than 13. But do you think this can finally be the year Marvin Mims takes a step forward? By the way, Marvin Mims, excellent special teamer. I believe he was an all-pro, definitely a Pro Bowler last year as a special teamer. Can he take a step forward as a wide receiver?
I hope, Randy. You know, I was very animated about Roman Wilson. I'm not as animated about Marvin Mims because I've wanted him to work out. And I've wanted him to grow. And we finally got to see a little bit of it last year, at least from special teams. And if you want me to be honest, Randy, I'm a superstitious man, and I don't want to jinx anything. I want the momentum to keep going. So, yes, I am stashing Marvin Mims. No philosophical analysis out of Jerry on this one. Just superstition, flim-flam. Nothing from it. But yes, I want Marvin Mims. Marvin Mims will be stashed on my teams.
Also, for the audiophiles that love a good tune, Superstitious by Stevie Wonder, a very good song. Also like the remake by Stevie Ray Vaughan. Throw that in your Apple Music, kids. I like Marvin Mims because it's actions, right? He was the first skill position player that Sean Payton drafted when he took over as the coach. Would it be fair to have said the Broncos needed to add to their wide receiver and skill position group, especially the pass catchers this past offseason, to help J.J. McCarthy grow?
Yep.
Jerry is saying yes. He's nodding his head. Great for an audio podcast.
I said yes.
And the only real additions were Trent Sherfield Sr. And Pat Bryant. Outside of that, they didn't bring anybody. You know, they could have went wide receiver in the first round, but they didn't. They went, I think it was safety, if I remember correctly. I'm just going, well, I agree with Jerry. I'm not expecting the world, but if it doesn't happen this year, it ain't going to happen. The road is.
I would agree with that for sure.
Because I think this is the year where if he can't, with Cortland Sutton there and Evan Ingram there, you know, both guys, you know, right around that 30 number, if he can't take the step, God, I'd love to see Marvin Mims become like a Steve Smith Sr., a guy who was like a special team superhero. I
just like him
and
to
then
be
break out.
Like just be J-Mo. That's what I need.
All right. I've pretty much gotten through everybody, and we're coming up on time. I threw this guy on here just because of the depth chart, and he's one of my favorite rookies, and it's Torrey Horton. Just a guy.
You do love Torrey Horton.
I love. Well, hold on.
You love the situation. I know.
You got to dig deeper. I'm always going to be the world's largest Sam Darnold apologist. I'm also one of the world's largest haters of Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
Justifiably so.
I think he's not good at football. I think he's good at being an athlete. You know, he's made plenty of money playing football, so the amount of shit I can talk only goes so far.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that he gets to work with a veteran like Cooper Kupp. You know, I would love to see, like, you know, obviously Cooper Kupp's not long for the NFL. 1, maybe 2 years left. And maybe, again, Cooper Kupp was a mid-round pick. Maybe this kid can take a step and, you know, be somebody, and we'll know very quickly. So for me, I threw him on there just because I had to have 10. We went 12 though, Jerry.
You know, that's because we're tryhards, buddy.
Well, I mean, you give the people more than they pay for. I mean, you know, this is a free podcast. So that's 20% more people than I was going to put on there. We talked about 12. We talked not the cops, but 12 players. And I think we had a good show. I think it was a good show. I was a little bit extra rested because, you know, I got the extra 2 days off. Although, by the way, this is the standard disclaimer that if you are still here for fantasy football or dynasty roster advice, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week. But if you're sticking around, this is where we're just going to filibuster about a little bit. But yeah, man, I feel relaxed coming back from Georgia. And, you know, I'm fired up, man. This is the time where a lot of podcasters start slowing down. Jerry, we've always stayed the same. We have never missed a week. Never.
Except for Tuesday. This might be the first Tuesday we ever did.
No, dude, the show used to stream on Tuesday.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Way back in the day.
And it usually is in the what was it, Monday? We have to move it in season because you and I just cannot be trying to compete with the NFL for clicks. No one
nor should you.
No one gives a shit about dynasty advice on Sunday. Like, you know what though, to be honest though, I'm amazed, and not just amazed, appreciative of how many people tune in to watch the show on Sunday evenings. But you're not watching the Dynasty WarZone. You might like pop in
over
and
Sunday
pop
Night
out.
Football. No.
Yeah, you're not giving up, you know, Chris Collinsworth and Tarico.
I don't. Nor should you.
Ain't no way you're giving that up. So a rare Tuesday night appearance. You know what was even more impressive for me, Jer? The chat. Even though we moved nights, we didn't tell anybody. We were trying to figure something out. We didn't tell them. The chat, as always, on YouTube remained lit up, like just tons. And you know what? It's the best people. It's Senior Fantasy. It's Jamie, the Culture Watch. I mean, just so many people stop by and hang out. And Cameron Myers here every week. Super Chatter, Matthew Smith. All of these folks are in here all the time supporting the show. And if you do want to support the show and you want to do it because, maybe you're just not in a position, dude, leave a 5-star review on the Player Profiler YouTube. Or, subscribe to the YouTube and leave a 5-star on the podcast. $0, Jerry.
Free 30, buddy.
Free 99. And if you do want to, I got an extra 20 spot this month. Go sign up for Fast Draft. That 20 spot will turn into a 40 spot. Those drafts are $5 and $10. So I'm just doing the math. So all it is math. You take 20, you turn it into 40. The average draft time is 8 minutes. That's 8 drafts at 8 minutes. That's 64. That's 64 minutes of Fast Draft fun for $20. Unless you go downtown, you can't have that much fun for $20.
You can't have that much fun downtown either, buddy.
And it depends on which downtown. But anyway, yeah, that's the show. Promo code on everything, WarZone. We have big shows coming up. We'll try to get a guest for Sunday. Jerry can tell me off the air who the guest should be, but yeah, there we go. It is 9. I'm trying to keep the show going because I just want to hand off a good audience for the show behind us. Jerry, what else do you have? We literally have 3 minutes.
What else do I have?
How about this? How about this? I'm going to challenge you.
Okay.
Give us a dynasty nugget for those that stuck around for the shenanigans, that thought the fantasy content was done. Give us a nugget. Give us something. Give us a player.
And it isn't that Roman. It isn't Roman Wilson is dog shit, and you should throw him away.
That wasn't your strongest part of the show.
It was. I found some more research about him, so I'm just going to keep going since I looked it up. He had 12 touchdowns his final championship season. 6 of them were in the first 3 games of the year against UNLV, ECU, and some other bum ass school. No offense to those places. I don't know that I have a nugget. I think right now is a very boring time for a lot of people, and it's easy to step away. If you want to be different, don't. Take advantage of your opponent's laziness. Now is the time to exploit it when everyone else is, well, we did our rookie drafts and there's nothing going on until this. Take advantage of it, man. Just try to find value. Try to squeeze some value out. Even a little bit can turn a lot, man.
I'm going to give you one little extra. So all these guys that we've talked about tonight, none of these guys should cost you more than a second. And I think I don't
very
think I'm
few even cost that.
Yeah, I think most of these guys are players you can acquire for a future third. Here's the lie you can tell your league mate. And remember, I'll tell you the truth one time. I will lie to you. Tell your league mate, hey, you know what? This is a boredom trade. Hey, I'm going to fire this salvo across your bow. I'm bored. I'm looking to make a deal. You know what? It's just a future third. It's a guy that I like during that rookie class. Lie like a dog. Lie like a rug. But when in all actuality, you're really just trying to see if you could get a Roman Wilson for a random third, or a Torrey Horton, or a guy, Keaton Mitchell. Keaton Mitchell might be the biggest potential value on this list. There's so many of these guys, I think they're being underrated. And if you tell your league mate that, hey, this is just a for funsies trade, they might
never
fall
for
for it.
Just funsies.
It's not. Remember, everything is a setup for you to lose, but you win when you listen to the Dynasty WarZone. We're going to get out of here, but don't go anywhere. Just stay right where you're at. We're bringing you another show right after a quick word from our boy, the Podfather.
Hey, I want to thank you for being part of this broadcast. If you have any thoughts on it, leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more shows on the Player Profiler channel, subscribe to it. That's how we know you want more.